All right, good morning everybody. So today we're going to be working on color mixing for Sculpey, but we're going to be doing browns and a marbled clay and then a Skinner blend. So this right here is an example of a marbled clay, and this right here is what a Skinner blend is. So a Skinner blend is basically a gradient where you go from one color through to another color, and it's a smooth transition. So to start with this, we're going to create or reuse the clay from the color wheel worksheet. So remember, this clay does not dry out. You don't have to keep it in its little plastic baggies in order to keep it from drying out. You could keep it in there to keep dust and whatnot off of it, but save those little bits of colors that you mix during this because you can use them for stuff later. So create or reuse the color from the color worksheet. So you're going to make some little small spheres, little small balls about the size of a pea of each of the primary colors, and then flatten them to the corresponding circles. They do not need to be completely, filling the circle, okay? So for the primary colors, we've got red, yellow, and blue. So I'm just going to pull mine off of my color wheel. And if you happen to notice like a greasy spot or anything on your worksheets, that's okay. It's just something that, this has oil in it, so that's just what it does. So, working on top of a piece of paper or a little mat or just some of the tin foil works really good for that. Or wax paper works really good for that as well, to make sure it doesn't get onto like a wood table. Okay, so then the next part, you're going to blend or reuse secondary colors and add them to the corresponding circles. So for our secondary colors, we have green, purple, and orange. So I'm gonna steal mine from my color wheel. So I've got my green, my purple, and my orange. Okay, and then I'm gonna create a brown by mixing each primary color with its complement. So a complementary color are colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. So red is on one side and the complement to that is green. So it's on the other side of the color wheel. Same with yellow and purple and blue and orange. So I'm gonna start with my blue and my orange. I have a couple little extra ones here that I've made, and it's the same thing as before where you're just kind of mushing it together. Now this first part, while it's softening up, that's called conditioning the clay. And remember, you can either do that just in your fingers like this, squishing it together, or you can do the thing where you roll a coil and then roll it into a little ball, and then roll a coil again, and then roll it into a little ball. Now, I like to do that because I can do it way faster than mushing it in between my fingers, and it doesn't, my fingers get, sore after a little bit from mushing it for too long. They get a little cramped. So I prefer to do it this way. I do suggest that you keep a little piece of paper towel or something next to you so you can wipe off your fingers in between the color mixing. Okay, so I've mixed it. There's no marbling left in it. And you can see that my blue and my orange made this nice brown color. Now for the next ones, I've already done some examples of those ones. So I've got my yellow and my purple makes this kind of a color, and my red and my green make this kind of a color. Now all three of these are brown, but they're slightly different browns. So depending on how much of the yellow or the blue or whatever colors are in it, it'll look a little bit different. Like this one's a little bit warmer. This one maybe is a little bit more green. And this one's got a little bit, to me, this one looks the most brown. But it just depends on how you kind of mix it together. So after that, we're going to be creating the marbled clay effect by rolling out small coils of 3 colors and just laying them next to each other. And then we're going to gently squeeze them together and twist them together. And then we're going to roll the twisted colors a little and fold the twist over and roll again. And you continue doing that until you like what it looks like. That's how I created this one here. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I'll move this off to the side. And I'll move that off to the side. Okay, so I'm just gonna use some of my extra colors that I had left over from yesterday's, or my last, demo. Actually, I think I'm gonna use these 3 because I think that looks nice. But maybe I'm gonna add in, I'm gonna add in a blue too. Okay, so I have my 3 leftover things from my color wheel still. So I'm just gonna gently roll them on the paper to make a little baby coil. It doesn't have to be a perfect baby coil. And actually it doesn't really matter how thick or thin they are as long as they're similar length. And even that's kind of open to interpretation. So I'm just gonna be making some little coils. Okay. Last one. All right, so you make your little coils and then you're just going to squish them together a little bit. So I'm just kind of squishing them together. I'm gonna roll it just a little bit and then I'm gonna twist it. So even this looks kind of cool. It looks like a candy cane or something. So I'm gonna twist it a little bit and then I'm gonna fold it over like that. I'm gonna twist it again. Maybe I'll twist this way. I'm gonna twist it again. I'm gonna roll it a little bit flat and I'm gonna fold it over. I'm gonna twist it again, roll it. And really you just kind of keep mushing it around until you like it. So this right here, if I smooth it out, I've started my marbling, but I think I can do better. I think I want it to be a little bit more swirly like that. So I can continue the process of rolling it and twisting it and then checking it until I like it. Now, if you continue going too far with this, then you won't really see the marbling. All you'll end up seeing is just one blend because it'll just blend, right? So I think that looks pretty good. So this would be my example of my marbling. So now I have 2 marbling examples. Okay, now the last one, the Skinner blend, that one does take a little bit more work. So lastly, to create that Skinner blend, and remember that's just the smooth transition between 2 or more colors like this. And the effect works best with analogous colors. So colors that go nicely together. Because like if you put green and red together, the complements, then the center part of this blend would be brown. But if you took red and yellow together, the center part of this blend would be orange. So that would look nice. So analogous colors are the ones that are next to each other on the color wheel. So, you know, a good example would be red, purple, and blue. Those would all look nice together. Now, you can also do the tints and shades of a single color like I did here. I've got my shade, so my black to dark green. Dark green is the shade of green. Then here's my straight green, and then here's my tint of green. So a tint is just where you're adding the white to it, and then I let it fade into white. So that would look nice as well. So to start those, you're going to start with some short fat coils. You might need a little bit more clay than I have done for some of the other ones. You might need to break into those little packets again. But you're gonna start by making some little coils, some fat coils. So let me see, I've got my white here. I'm gonna have kind of a big chunk of white, and then I'm gonna have a little bit of black, and then maybe we'll do blue this time. Okay, so I've got my 3 colors. I'm gonna make some fat little coils real quick. So here's one kind of fat coil, 2 kind of fat coil, and 3 kind of fat coils. So now I'm using a different amount for each one, and that's okay because I tend to only need a little bit of black to make it look nice and mix, and I usually need a little bit more white. Now when you stick these together, you don't want to stick them straight like this because then it's going to take forever to get the blend going. You want to tilt it at an angle, and you want it to kind of overlap. So you want to have this part right here is just going to be black when I overlap it. This part right here is just going to be blue when I overlap it, and then this part right here is just going to be white when I overlap it. So I'm going to kind of stick those together like this, flatten it out a little bit, and then for the next part you're going to once you've got that angle good, then you're going to roll them. Now again, this part takes a little while, so if you have a pencil, which I gave you, so you should have a pencil that's round. You can use a pencil for this. If you want to find something else that is also round, you could do that too. So like this is just like a little piece of PVC pipe, but either one will work. For the demo, I'm going to use my little tool just because the pencil shakes the table and therefore shakes the camera more. And I don't think you want to watch a shaky video. So I'm just going to use my little roller. I'm going to roll it out. Oh, that still shakes too a little bit, but not as much. So I'm going to roll it out. Try to make sure you're still kind of at least a little bit at an angle. And then I do a tight little roll back. And it's okay if it overlaps like this because that's where the blend is going to happen. So usually for each one of these, I'll kind of roll it back up and then I'll kind of squish it back down into a wider shape so the ends don't get too pointy. And then you're going to do the same thing again. You're just going to kind of roll it out flat again. And then you can either roll it into more of a ball or you can fold it in half. Now this part takes a while to do. So at first it looks like nothing is going to happen. And if you're finding that like your angles aren't really angled anymore, then you know, this is squishy clay. Just kind of shift it around, pull it so it looks more at an angle. So this part does feel like it takes forever. I'm going to take some of it off. But this is the process. You just continually roll it out flat. Ooh, you can start to see a little bit of the blend there. You roll it out flat, you roll it up, flatten it out a little bit again. Now, like I said, I'm trying to keep the ends tucked in. You roll it again. And you just keep doing that until it's all the way nicely blended, which, as I said, can take a while. Oh, so you can kind of start to see, like I've got black, I've got the dark blue, I've got the blue, a medium light blue. And, you know, as I continue going with this, it's going to keep having more and more of the color variations. Now I took some of my extra white off and that's okay. I might not end up with any white over there. That's just white and that's okay. As long as I can still clearly see the blend, that's fine. And if I wanted to, I could just add some more white on, but that would involve more rolling. And since I've already got this going, so as I said before, you continue doing this process where you're just folding it over or rolling it up until you have the clean blend all the way across. Now this one I've already finished, so this probably has another, you know, 3 or 4 minutes of rolling to go, but I have this one prepped so you can see if you continue that process over and over and over again, that you'll end up with this nice, smooth, transition-y blend. All right, so now it's time for you to give it a try and see, you know, try a couple different marbling, try a Skinner blend. And when you're done, you can take the photo of it and send it on in. So when you're done, it'll look something like that. All right, have a great day. Thanks, everybody.